Here at Random Review, I kinda like to leave off the week on something of a special note. So Fridays, I usually look for something a little bit more unusual, a little bit more visually interesting. And in this case, I've chosen Generations Ratbat. No, you didn't miss a toy on the Generations shelf back when they were a thing. No, this was Takara's offering. Yeah, for a little while in Japan, they were calling their throwback figures Generations 2. Generations as also, not Generation 2. That's a completely different thing. These names are weird, but you can see. Yeah, it is Generation Scourge, so kind of the same, except done up in Ratbat's signature colors of black, gold, and purple, and such a nice purple. You take a look. There's so much metallic element to it. It's a beautiful deep shade of purple, but that metallic note to it just adds so much more. It is an absolutely beautiful thing to behold, and I do love the extra black breaking it up just enough along with the trim of it here, which is actually more of a dark gunmetal gray more than black, but close to his original colors. And then the gold, which is just sets it off really nicely. Now, of course, being the Generation Scourge mold, it is based on a stealth bomber, and one of the best vehicle modes I've seen out of a figure. I mean, look at this. Look at that. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful thing to behold. It is so sleek, and there's so little under. I would argue there's no underkibble to this toy. Even if you look at the bottom, where's the robot? If you know how it transforms, then you know where the bits go, but, look at all this. It's completely smooth underneath. It's all solid. It's extremely cool. And even in the rear, it's all done exceptionally well. This is definitely one of the best designed toys the Generations line had to offer. The only thing hanging down are these little bits for the landing gear. Pretty much, they don't roll, so all they really do is keep it from scraping on the bottom. But it's such a sleek, such a smooth vehicle mode. It's absolutely magnificent. If we look at the finer details, you can see the cockpit with a bunch of windows on it. It kind of implies that it's bigger than your average stealth bomber, and a lot of little extra detailing here along the side. You can see the panels going all the way through. It's, again, because of the stealth jet nature, a lot of it very, very subdued. There's not as much heavy detailing as you would normally get, but it's all still there. There's enough to really make it look like the machine it represents. In particular, I like the thruster engines in the back. 3 of them. I kind of wish this one was painted to match, but it's not a big deal. You can see a lot of the molding inside with the silver paint just to offset the details. Very, very nice. And all the way through, you can see the intakes here in the front, which is the only part where we get to a little bit of robot exposed. Well, that and, well, yeah, you can kind of obviously see where the head is. That's the one thing. On the original Scourge, the head would have compacted in and only the sensor on top would have been exposed, and you could pass it off as a piece of equipment. Here, yeah, it is obviously Ratbat's head. There's really no getting around it or hiding it. So it's really the one glaring thing that makes you tell that this is a Transformer, not some kind of stealth jet toy exclusively. But for such a simple vehicle mode, there's a lot I could go on about. I mean, it's just such a well done job. Extremely, extremely well done. Now, I guess one thing in keeping with the nature of the vehicle mode, nowhere to peg in any of his weapons, so really no play features other than imagination. So, I guess that just leaves us to get it into robot mode. And you'll excuse me if this ends up being kind of a sloppy transformation. I will admit I'm not as up on transforming this thing as I used to be. And I just clipped my nails. That was bad timing, wasn't it? I'm trying to shake this panel loose because it gets kind of tabbed in. Nope, not gonna go. Alright, just do this the other way. Hang on. It's going to be a messy transformation. I do apologize for that, because there is a lot going on, and frankly, it's been a while since I transformed it, and even transforming it down into jet mode, there was a lot that just like I was just guessing at. I will say, like, don't do this. Like, if you're a reviewer, like, plan ahead. There's just some times where I just kind of run out of time, and I don't do the transformation dry runs like I should, but I just kind of wing it and hope it works out, which so far it's not going too badly here. Hang on. This has to be rotated. Legs have to be rotated to the front. Come on. There's a double hinge there that has to be manipulated the right way. And pegs that have to go in there. Come on. This is the fiddly part of the transforming his toy I don't like. Double hinges always throw me off when I have to when the transformations come up. Hard for me to remember exactly which way they're supposed to go, but this is working out okay. Angle those down to give them a more wing-like appearance. That out just to give the legs a little bit more room. Here's the weird part of the transformation. The arms come out like that to extend them out, rotate them down, and then push the switch to get the hands out. It's a pretty involved step. And look here, I'll show you this. Like, look how much it changes the look of the part. Like, that's a really good transformation step. I can remember that being like one of the highlights of this toy when people first started getting it, for Scourge especially. Because it was just such a neat trick. Really, really hand it to designers of this toy. All around. Very, very nice. So that, with a little bit of fumbling, is our Generation Scourge in its proper robot mode. If I can get it to stand up here correctly, because he is kind of back heavy. Very back heavy. Now, first off, you're going to realize, hey, that's not a bat. And it certainly doesn't look like a cassette of any kind. Okay, yeah. He's kind of based more on the Senator Ratbat that the comic books introduced. That was a more easily workable version of the character. This is before he was turned into one of Soundwave's cassette minions. But as such, he's got a much more regal appearance. He's got a much more standard robot mode. But he does still have a few familiar bits. For instance, if we zoom in on the head, we can see there is a vague Ratbat shape to his helmet. Normal robot mode face, but you kind of get a semblance of that bat in there. Just a little bit. The gold eyes especially help that. You can see the little bits of ears and fangs in there. So he does look the part. I can still call him Ratbat. But he definitely does have that more stern, more serious appearance. Something a little bit more... a little bit more professional, since he is a senator after all. Hang on, I'm just trying to make sure, just trying to make sure it's all the way out, because man, he's back heavy. Of course, he's got massive wings. Of course, he's back heavy. So yeah, I really, really like the sculpt on this toy. Now that is the same head they used for the Serpent OR exclusive for the Collectors Club, which is a really clever use of the head. I'm waiting for Leozak personally. But yeah, it changes the entire profile of the toy, and in a really good way. Ratbat in general, whenever they figure out how to repaint him into something, it generally turns out to be an extremely clever repaint, and this is no different. Stealth Bomber is pretty much perfect. But here we see in the robot mode, a lot has changed, and we can see now where some of the segments are. Of course, the front legs that form from the front of the vehicle mode. So that's why they're smooth on both sides. It creates a very nice, clean look. And there's that back heaviness again that makes me knock my camera as I try to catch him and fail. But You can also see, like I said, the arms that transform from the turbine engines. Man, they look so good here. I love the extra gold added in. I love the mix with the gunmetal and the purple. It's a very regal color scheme. Very Decepticon color scheme as well. It looks absolutely magnificent. It's kind of hard to tell, but there is actually a little bit of like a dark purple or dark indigo plastic just dotting him every now and then. Just to break it up a little bit. It's subtle and it might not come across as well on camera, but it's there. Now, we can talk for ages about this, and I like to talk for this about ages. You can see the midsections molded in very nicely. Separates him out, gives him a more of a powerful looking physique. Extra detailing, like little extra lines molded in. Lots of little touches just to make him look as good as possible. I'm going to go ahead and go to articulation now, which includes a ball-jointed head. So not a lot of up and down look, but enough to rotate around all the way. Shoulders are nice and universal, though it's got that weird hinge here, swivel here type of universal, so it's a little bit funky to use. Let's see, we got a bicep rotation just above the elbow, and the elbow, of course, rotates. Wrist rotation, so all looking good there. We do have a waist joint. Thank you, transformation. We have a ball-jointed hip, which is a little bit hindered going forward because of the shape of his thigh, but not too big of a deal. It goes outward just fine. There is a thigh swivel, as well as a very good knee bend. The ankles do rock, so you can open his legs up and splay them a little bit, as well as go back and forth. So plenty of ankle movement. I was looking for some kind of heel spur just in case I had forgotten it in transformation, and it does not appear that I did. So that's about as far back as they go. So yeah, he's back heavy because of those big old wings. But beyond that, the transformation and leads to a lot of good articulation in the toy. Very, very articulated. Quite happy with him. Very, very cool robot. Now, for added features, I mentioned accessories before, but you have not seen them yet. And if you have not seen this toy before, this is where the cool part of it comes in, because you've seen where the weapons have been this entire time. Oh my god. And this is where I kind of regret cutting my fingernails before this review. Behold. So Ratbat, as this mold does, has two weapons. One that stores in each of his wings. Open, right out. Close the wings back up. Which is a great use. There was a great use of Scourge's kibble. Because Scourge has to have those wings. That's part of his look. It's part of his style. Here, it's Ratbat's wings, but that's just as good. We transform them out, and they're two fairly basic pistols, I will admit. It's nothing terribly exciting. So there is that, and of course you can dual wield as such. However, let's see, there is a C-clip here that allows you to attach that gun and make a much more suitable looking weapon. More appropriate for the Senator here. Much better. Now, the transformation hinges on it are kind of weak, so it does tend to lose its shape from time to time. But for the most part, standing there, it's a nice-looking weapon once it's combined together. I will say this toy is in the C-clip era of gimmicks, so if you did look in vehicle mode, there are a couple clips which could be used to actually attach some extra weaponry to his underside. But here, they are completely just kind of covered up, so he really doesn't get the C joint function that a lot of figures did at the time. But it was there. They tried. And really, I don't think the toy needs it, because he does an extremely good job of being a cool figure without that little undocumented gimmick. So that is Generations Ratbat by Takara. It's an absolutely beautiful toy, extremely clever reuse of the mold, and a very different look at an old G1 character. Now, this thing was kind of popular, so if you can get your hands on it now, it's probably running more than it used to. For a Ratbat fan, yeah, It's a magnificent figure. It is beautiful, and it functions so well. And really, between like some clever transformation elements, the hidden guns, and just how like amazingly smooth the vehicle mode is, it's one of the more exceptional Transformer toys I own. I would definitely recommend it. Even if you just missed out on Scourge, I'd recommend this mold. Just keep in mind, the wings do make them back heavy, so prepare accordingly. That's about the only knock against the figure I can give it. Like, it is just that good. Now I'm trying to think if I own any other if I own any other of Soundwave's cassettes that have grown up in the robot modes. I seem to be reviewing a few of them lately.